It is Tuesday night, and we're back with another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. I'm Mike, that's Wes, and Wes has managed to get another special guest for us.
I did. He is currently number 4 for the Western Michigan Broncos after spending 4 years with the Miami Redhawks. Robby Drazner joins the show coming off of a hard-fought weekend against the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Yeah, it was thanks for having me, obviously. It was a pretty hard fought series, like you said, and obviously the split out there wasn't what we were looking for originally, but the second game I think was very positive for us, so which is something to build on.
So what we do is usually we're going to start with our 1T warm-ups. 6 quick questions just to kind of break the ice and get things flowing here. And Mike has the first one for you.
Yeah, what is your favorite pizza topping?
I'll go with pepperoni.
Solid classic.
Yeah.
Favorite athlete growing up?
I mean, I always admired Michael Jordan. Obviously, I wasn't born yet to watch his greatness, but in terms of hockey, Duncan Keith. I'm from Chicago, so Keith, Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, some of those Hawks superstars.
Yeah, I don't like you right now because there's a lot of heartbreak in my heart right now.
Oh yeah, big Hawks fan.
What's the best chirp you've ever heard on the ice? That you could probably say, because I'm sure there are a few you can't say.
Yeah, I to be honest, in college I haven't heard too many. Trying to think back to juniors maybe, but there's always the classic ones about, your stick handling or something, but I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, at least, that I've received. At least I've heard some, from Twitter or whatever in the NHL that are pretty funny, that I'm sure you guys have seen too, but nothing yet, at least that I've received. So
I think the best one I can remember was, at least in a while, was last year when Zach Lombos was on the team, because I think he was the oldest player in NCAA last year.
Yeah.
And there was somebody let him know it. Like, when are you going to graduate? When are you done playing college? You've been here forever.
Yeah. I mean, I get some of those too. I just turned 25 a couple weeks ago, so I'm getting to be a little bit older compared to all these young guys. So I guess you could say something like that. Yeah. Starting to receive some of those.
It's just funny to think that exists in the college world, right?
I know. It is crazy.
Are you a pre-planned Selly guy, or you just go with whatever hits you in the moment after that puck beats the goalie?
Complete in the moment. When the puck goes in, it's kind of, just whatever comes to the mind, whatever flows. So I don't really have any, planned sellies. It just kind of, the heat of the moment, I guess.
All right, so the last one for me, what is your standout moment or standout memory from playing hockey?
I mean, there's a lot, obviously, growing up, winning championships, as a young kid. The juniors, we had a really good team. My second year, we won our division, which was nice. Obviously, got cut due to COVID, but I would say so far, like this year has been awesome. I mean, it's been a great standout year for for me in terms of the team I've been a part of, and obviously looking forward to the next month and a half and seeing what we can do.
Yeah, this has been kind of, I mean, a surprising year to some degree, but very fun to watch for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And my last one for you is, if you had a personalized goal song, what would it be?
Personalized goal song. I would say maybe something AC/DC. Maybe like Thunderstruck or something with some energy, to get the crowd going, especially at Lawson.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they don't need much help getting going. They are.
That's right.
And you actually have a very unique perspective on that, which I'll get to in just a second, because we do have a question from the chat here. Which of the ASU forwards gave you the most trouble over the weekend? Just either a guy who was just kind of hard to contain, or you thought you had him pinned down and he rips a shot past. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, they have a good forward group over there, just like all the NCHC teams. But I mean, someone that stood out to me was Colin Potter. He's a He's a young kid with a lot of skill, very shifty, very hard to defend. But there's a couple other guys out there. Kerwin and Schlane were pretty good, good hockey players. But I would say Potter stood out to me for sure in terms of his skill and the way he skates.
Yeah, that dude was all over the ice, and I mean, from a technical standpoint, it was a lot easier to see what he was doing Friday than Saturday. They had some
Yeah,
issues, so back here in
yeah.
Kalamazoo, we weren't able to see all of the game. But no,
Mhm.
he definitely stood out, and as a freshman, that kid's gonna tear it up the next couple of years here, playing against everybody in the NCHC. Um,
Yeah.
and really, not I don't have a bad thing to say about the way ASU played. They every time you guys got anything going, they were right back there to put it down and regain the lead on Friday night. Saturday night they were still there at the end and battled the whole time and kept it close. And what they've done their first season in the NCHC is pretty special. They give their first loss to an undefeated Denver team. They hand Western their first regulation loss in conference play. Like, actually, I think potentially, I know the BC game was a regulation loss, but their first conference regulation loss of the season. So it's hard to point out what they're doing wrong right now. ASU's just come in and shown that they belong here in the conference.
Yeah, I mean they're a good team. I mean they play hard. Like I said, they have really skilled forwards that make it difficult. But yeah, I mean for the first time, or I guess first year in the league. I mean they've definitely cemented themselves as a top team and a team that teams in this league look to beat.
So let's go back. So you spent your first 4 years at Miami. Western's kind of historic rival. You played in front of the Lunatics on the home and the away side. How did those two situations compare? Because we had Tristan on, I think, before he actually suited up with Western, but he's
Mhm.
another guy who's
Mhm.
experienced Lawson from the away side, and but you've gotten to experience it, I think, a little bit differently because, like I said, Miami's here every year. You did it for 4 years, so what's
Yeah.
those two? What's the comparison on those experiences like?
Yeah, I mean, being on this side of it, I'll just tell you is a lot better in terms of the energy and the crowd. But yeah, I mean, I remember my first time at Lawson. All the older guys on my Miami team were like, "This is the best place to play." It's the crowd's awesome. It's insane. So I was looking forward to seeing what it was like, and being on that side of things, um, it surpassed anything I would imagine. So I always knew, coming to the Western was always going to be a tough place to play. And like you said, it's been 4 years. My freshman year, there were no fans because of COVID,
Right.
so didn't get to experience that. But my sophomore year was the first time, all the way up through my senior year. So I'll tell you, like I said, being on this side of it is so much better. It's incredible, and the atmosphere every single night is it's unbelievable.
Yeah, they put you in that tiny little hallway, and the refs go
Yeah,
out. The refs go out first. You get a little bit of a boo, then it's
yeah,
the big roar for the Broncos coming out, and then it's
yeah.
halfway through those guys coming out. It's another huge just boo fest as the opposing team hits the ice.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even when they introduced like the Lawson Lunatics when we're on the blue line after the starting lineups, like when I was at Miami, I would like look into the crowd and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is pretty cool. And it's exactly what college hockey is all about. It's about the students coming to support the team and obviously creating an atmosphere that makes it unbelievable for the home team.
Yeah,
And I
for
think
sure.
that's the difference too, where Lawson, as opposed to a lot of other buildings around the nation, is that whole side is just the student section.
Right.
I, most other schools, it's one end or the other. Here, you
Hmm.
can't get away from it.
Yeah, I mean, like at Arizona State, it's behind the net. I know Duluth is behind the net.
Yep.
Miami's kind of behind the net a little bit on the sides, but with the way that Lawson's kind of structured, it's like you said, it's that whole side. So from goal line to goal line, you just have students that are going crazy, and it just the energy that you feel. I remember my first home game as a Bronco, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome!" Like it's up all the way up until the last game I play at Lawson. It's the same thing. It just gets better and better. And like you said, I think the way it's structured just helps make it even better, because there's not just one side. It's not just, or in terms of behind the net or whatever. There's a long, the whole stands is all students, so it's pretty cool.
And I
Yeah,
think that's why St. Cloud is the worst, is they have the one
Yeah,
section
you're right,
and
right.
that's it. That's their
Yeah,
student section. Like,
yeah. I guess
what's going
most teams
on?
in the NCHC, they kind of like Denver, I know, is behind the net. North Dakota is pretty cool just because of how big the rink is.
Yeah.
That's kind of right where we come out, but Lawson's definitely the most unique in terms of the way that the rink is structured and where the students are placed.
yeah, and you don't get that second period reprieve from them either. I mean, it's
Yeah,
the whole game that they're
it's
able
everything.
to either ride the goalie or the other players. Um,
Hmm.
luckily you wore number 7 at Miami. It wasn't 4, so they didn't dog you as much as they do some other
Yeah,
guys.
that's
Uh,
right. That's right.
but you do wear 4 here at Western.
Yep.
Um, so you're having a career year amongst stats. Everything's up except penalty minutes. Those are actually down right now. What is Western doing that they're having success with guys coming in on the transfer portal? Because we've seen a long list of this. Colangelo did it last year. You're doing it this year. They've built players like Jason Poland, who you played against, Ethan Frank, who you played against. Like those guys developed later in their careers and ended up putting up career numbers as they went. Just what is the coaching staff doing that's having so much success with both transfers and guys that they've built in the program?
Yeah, I mean, it's the coaching staff. I mean, it's the best coaching staff I've played for. The way that they go about, teaching things and making sure that the players understand it and do it on a daily basis is unbelievable. I've learned so much, especially from, Firsch and Coach Herder on the back end. It's helped my game just evolve. And I remember last year, I think I saw something, there was like 10 transfers and they all had career years. And, when all of them have career years, that something's, going right, internally. And that's the coaching staff. I mean, they just do an unbelievable job of developing new players. I mean, I think we have like 16 new players on this team this year. And, since day one, we've kind of all gelled right away. Um, so it's just an everyday approach, whether it's practice games, of making sure that, we're doing the right things and developing the right habits and, just stay consistent with it, not just doing it one day or 2 days. It's kind of every single day you're getting better day by day, practice by practice. And over time, you start to see, some of that, or all of that hard work pay off in terms of, the stats and the wins, obviously. But, for me, I just, I want to do whatever I can to help the team win. And, it's obviously very nice to be rewarded, with having a career year. But the most important thing is winning games and ultimately winning championships.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you've looked at it, but where you came from and where you're at now are polar opposites. Even I mean, this year Miami just they can't seem to shake off the struggles that they've been riding here. Hopefully, the new coach can get something going. Um, but you go from unfortunately the last place team in the conference, and now you've been at Western, and they've been, if not first in the conference, right near the top of the conference all year, and super. I mean, you set a record for most first place votes received. Just making history week in and week out with this team, and a chance again to do it. This weekend, 4 points away from capturing the Penrose. I know that's something you guys try not to like harp on too much, but kind of what's the feeling like knowing that the at least one of the goals is obtainable at this moment in time, and how do you balance that with just getting ready for the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. We try not to focus so much on the standings and the pairwise and all the good things that are happening. We just try to take it day by day, get better every single day. That's something that our coaches really want to make sure that we do, is every day we're getting 1% better and we're focused on the next game. But obviously, standings are always, on the phone and people are always talking and where you stand. So, you know, I just think every single game we just take the same approach, play to our identity, play the best Bronco hockey that we can. And most of the time we're going to get the result we want. And then once you get the result you want, that good things are going to come your way. And ultimately all the guys in the locker room and all the staff, want one thing, and that's just to win. But like I said, we're just focused on the next game, whenever that is, and we don't try to make anything as bigger, as big as it is or as small as it is. We just try to just take it step by step, but we also do know what's at stake and what's coming, I guess, in the next couple of weeks. And I think the biggest thing, like I said, is just not getting too far ahead of things and just stay in the moment.
Like you look like you had a question.
I was just thinking, go ahead and then I can come back to mine too.
Okay.
Because I can bring it back. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, you guys seem to be doing a lot of the small things right this year that I don't know that Western's kind of really done the past couple years, but like the defense seems to be much improved over some of the previous teams. You guys have the least amount of goals allowed in conference play amongst all teams. I think you guys actually have the least amount of goals allowed overall in the conference by a significant margin. Like you guys are just doing the right things defensively. And it's not all been, Cam and Hampton on the back end. Like you guys seem to be blocking more shots than I've ever seen blocked, at least in the last few years. It's more be smart defense and not just kind of rush the defensive play. I mean, you've played against Western. You know what they've done the last few years. So like I'm spilling secrets or anything, but there's just the defense this year has been taken up a notch. And I feel like part of that has to be, the experienced guys they brought in, yourself. The other one there's another big defensive guy. Yeah, Kramer has been playing extremely well and been rewarded with a couple goals as of late. How is it stepping into a leadership role as a first year guy? Like, was that challenging? Is it just something that kind of came naturally? Are you riding, like Washy in that regard and following his lead a little bit, but bringing it to the defensive side too?
Absolutely. I mean, Tim Washy's our, obviously he's our captain, but he steers the boat, and we all look towards him, but it's also, like you said, like on the back end, there needs to be leadership, and in the goaltending tandem, there's leadership with Cam Rowe. It's funny. I actually played with Timmy my second year junior, so I knew him coming in. And when I was here in the summer, I stayed with him in the summer here in Kalamazoo while we were training, and he's a great leader. I mean, one of the most competitive players I've ever played with. So, obviously looking to him, for leadership. I'm sure all the young guys do, obviously, but it's important for the older guys that have played college hockey and played, over 100 and something games. Cam Canoodle, Brian Kramer, myself, Matteo Costantini. I mean, all these guys that have been through it and know how hard it is to win in this league. I definitely think all of us as a group kind of have just made sure that the young guys understand what it takes on a daily basis, and especially on the back end, myself and Crames, we try our best to keep it steady back there. Don't get too high, don't get too low, and I think in terms of the defensive core, we've been pretty steady, and we try, we don't try to, if you get scored on, you don't try to let it consume you or whatever, and knowing that it's going to happen. But like I said, there's leadership all over the room. Even the young guys, I mean, they're leaders in their own ways in terms of the way they practice and the way they play. Obviously Alex Bump, unbelievable leader, with just how good of a player he is and how much guys look up to him. So it's been a team of just self-made leaders in their own ways. We have vocal guys, we have guys that take action, we have something in between. And but like you said, as an older guy, it was important for me to come in and make sure that I lead to the best of my ability, and obviously to the whole group, but in specifically to some of the younger players in the D core.
And I think that actually ties kind of perfectly back to what I was thinking about when Wes said I had a question. So we kind of have a little bit of a grasp on the transfer portal with talking to Sam and then also Tristan, and that you just put your name in there and kind of hope somebody calls. You have confidence in yourself. You're betting on yourself.
Yeah.
And I guess I have kind of three questions. Did you have teams that you really were hoping were going to call you to ask for your services? Did it make a difference that it was an NCHC team in Western doing that? And did it make it easier being the new kid in school? Because that's exactly what it is. You going to a new team, regardless if you've played against them or not, you're still the new guy in the locker room. Did it make it at least a little easier because you had some rapport with those guys instead of going out east or well, there's not
Yeah.
much further out west in, other than Alaska.
Yeah. No, I definitely want to stay in the NCHC, just knowing how competitive a league it is and how good it is every single night. There's no easy night. I don't think there's an easy night in college hockey, but especially in the NCHC. So I really want to stay in the NCHC. And, when Coach Furch and Coach Herter reached out, the conversations I had with them were great. And, I just know how good of a program Western is and how hard it was to play against them all my 4 years. So, when I came down here and met some of the guys and met the staff and kind of, walked around, I knew it was a place I wanted to be. And then especially, like you said, no matter if I've played 4 years or not, you're still the new guy in the locker room. So I wanted to kind of, just kind of watch and just kind of, see how things are done, because the way that things are done at Duluth and Miami and Denver, they're all different, in terms of the culture and in terms of the leadership in the room. So I didn't definitely didn't want to come in here and say, oh, I played 4 years, this is whatever. I wanted to make sure that I knew how it's done the Bronco way. I obviously didn't know that. And then kind of each week, in terms of in the summer and then into training camp, you kind of learn more and more, and that's where you can kind of start to be a leader, in terms of, because you've been there and you understand what it means, and obviously winning games helps everything. So that was also big for all of us. But yeah, I mean, like, to answer your question, yeah, I wanted to stay in the NCHC, and when Western reached out, it was definitely a place that I wanted to be at.
Yeah, and over the last few years, I mean, you're the third player who's come up from Miami. Kirk was originally a Red Hawk. Last year, Joe Cassetti came over and had a great last year playing with Western before heading to the Euro leagues. Did you reach out to either of those guys when Western started reaching out to you? Like, hey, what can you tell me about the program outside of what you've seen as a visitor?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm really close with Joey Cassetti and Kirk Laursen. So I played with Joe for 3 years at Miami. So he's a guy that I wanted to make sure I asked him about, since I would have been in the same kind of position that he was in. He transferred here after his senior year, played 1 year here. That's what I'm doing now. So and they had absolutely everything good to say about the program, about the players, about the staff, and um, so it was easy for me hearing all that from a player's perspective. And it was really nice, because like I said, it was the same position that I was going to be in, which is what Joe was in. And it was nice over the summer to, talk to Kirk and ask him about certain things, and, how things are done, or, what this is like or what this is like. But, and there's also guys, like I said, like Timmy Washi, who I'm really close with, and Chad Hillebrand, I know really well, Mikey Joyo, guys that have played here, and they all say the same things, and all unbelievable hockey players with great talent. So when they all say the same things, that it's true. And obviously, like I said, the conversations I had with the staff was awesome. I mean, they are just, I just can't say enough good things about them and the way they operate.
Was it surprising how quickly you seem to fit in with the fan base? Like, I don't think they missed a beat in welcoming any of the new players, but was there some trepidation that, like, I'm coming from what was essentially the enemy?
Yeah.
A team that we see twice a year in every last weekend of the season, it's against Miami.
Yeah.
So is there some trepidation there, or were you just going to take it how it was, whether it was positive or negative, but happy it's positive?
Yes, definitely happy it's positive. I didn't really, to be honest, I didn't really think about that. I didn't know, how it was going to be. I was hoping it was going to be something positive and welcoming, which it absolutely was. I mean, the fan base here at Western is incredible. I mean, they're the most loyal fans in the NCHC and college hockey, honestly. You see Lawson filled every single night. You see nothing but support on social media, and at the games, or when you're at the grocery store, wherever it is. But like you said, I right from day one, it's been open arms, and obviously super happy it's that way. And like I said, just unbelievable fan base.
Yeah, because I'm trying to. I think we had a guest on, Paul, who is another big podcaster guy. But he supports ASU, and I think they had a player come back, or he was talking about a player who had gone back after transferring, and the other team was just letting him have it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying, and we didn't really see that at Western this year because we had Cole Birch came back with Ferris,
Hmm.
and then Jordan White actually came back this year with Alaska Anchorage.
Hmm.
Um, and the Lunatics just kind of let him be and cheered more for the Broncos, or unless you're number 4 for the other team,
Yeah.
then you would hear
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah.
I outside of that, I don't think it was too much. Are you interested in, or thinking about how Miami's going to welcome you back?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, those 4 games were circled on my calendar for sure. The 2 at Lawson that we played a couple weeks ago, and then the 2 coming up next weekend. At the end of the day, people ask me, is it going to be weird? Is it going to be, obviously it'll be a little bit, weird playing against a team you played for 4 years, but at the end of the day, it's a game and we're here for business and here to win. So, it'll be a little bit, kind of fitting, I guess, the last regular season games in Oxford at Goggin. Um, but like I said, when we're there and the puck drops, it's game time. No matter who's on the other side, and but I don't know. Hopefully, it's not too bad in terms of the fans and how they welcome me back. But at the end of the day, we're there for 6 points, and if we get those 6 points, then I'm happy.
Chalk it up to another interesting experience in your college hockey career. Because as you
Well,
mentioned, that first year was probably the most interesting year of college hockey we've ever seen
Yeah.
with the pod down in Omaha. So
Hmm. Yeah,
well,
that was very interesting. Go ahead.
maybe you'll now get to hear the best chirp you've ever heard when you go back against your former teammates. They're
Oh
probably
yeah,
just gonna let you
yeah.
have it.
Yeah, I'll have to come back on and answer that question. We'll see, but to answer your question, Wes, it was the pod was an incredible experience. Obviously, terrible circumstances in terms of the whole COVID situation and everything, and the bubble, having to quarantine and such. But yeah, that was a weird year. It was I didn't get to campus until around September, mid-September. Practice, all the way up until December. We had the 10-game pod in Omaha for 3 weeks. Um, but in terms of thinking back to a cool hockey memory, I mean, taking, making something out of nothing was pretty cool, and how the NCHC went about that and did that. I mean, it was, you're playing basically an NHL type schedule where you're playing, a game, you have a day off, you play a game, have a day off, as opposed to having 5 days off. So, for a freshman and just kind of getting thrown right into it, it was pretty cool. Obviously, Omaha is a great spot to have something like that with all the hotels and the food options, and a great facility with Baxter. But um, one of the coolest experiences that I've had playing college hockey was the bubble with all the teams. And on the off days, we would all, after practice, you go back to the hotel, you grab some dinner, and you go watch the other games. So it was definitely a really, really cool experience.
I feel
yeah,
like we may have asked this before, but sorry,
no,
Wes.
you're good.
Uh, but the difference, especially with it being your freshman year, without the fans, obviously you guys are all competitors and you create your own energy. But going from fans beforehand in juniors and throughout your playing career to no fans and back to fans, how difficult was it to create that energy, that extra energy, and how much of a difference was it between fans and no fans? Because it seems like it would be difficult with the quiet arena.
Yeah, it was a lot, especially with a big arena, with Baxter, where there's just, you look up and it's just all empty seats. But for me, it was, as a freshman at least, where I didn't have any experience, with college fans and how crazy student sections are. I didn't really know. I didn't know anything because I didn't play a game yet, with fans in the building. But for me, I was just excited. It's your first taste of college hockey, and you're kind of getting into it. So for the energy part, it was kind of like you said, create your own energy, and you're just excited to play hockey, play games, be out there, especially knowing what the year could have been in terms of not playing at all. But I always say my sophomore year was really my freshman year in terms of people on campus and going to classes, and not having to wear a mask, and just things that normally students, without COVID, were able to experience. So I'll never forget my first 2 games in Miami against they were against Ferris at home, and all the place was packed, and it was just such a cool thing to finally get the people in the building and the fans and to play in front of your student body. But I know the pod had like these cardboard cutouts and the fake fan noise and all, so they tried to make it as game like as possible. But at the end of the day, the NHL did it. I know the NBA did it. So, like you said, we're all competitors, and at the end of the day, we just want to win and play the best to our ability. But going into my sophomore year, it was definitely really cool to get the fans back. I remember we went to played Michigan State at Michigan State, and it was sold out, white out. It was awesome. Just really cool to see what college hockey was all about, and in terms of the student section and the packed arenas.
Yeah, I really think that the 2021 season, right? Because no, that would have been the pod year. No,
Pod was 2020, 2021, so
yeah,
21, 22.
Fall of 2020, 21. I think that year might have been one of the biggest attended years, probably in recent memory, because I think we're starting to the numbers seem to be coming down a little bit here more recently, but everybody was just juiced to be back doing something. I think the student sections were bigger. I think the communities were bigger and going to more things. So yeah, for that sophomore year, that was probably as big of a year as you're going to see, other than maybe down the stretch here with what Western's, the historic run that we're just on right now. But that year would have been ridiculous, because I think your first fan experience would have been up in North Dakota for the playoffs, because they had a few a small number of fans that they were allowed.
25%. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that game. And with an arena like that, it still felt completely packed. So I know they only had like 4,000, but it was.
You're like, here's the organ player, the Zamboni drivers over there. The concession people are just paid to watch a hockey game at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess that was kind of my first taste of having fans in the building. But in terms of consistency, it was that next year, and definitely cool to see.
So a guy that you lined up against made his NHL debut a couple months back, Ethan Frank. How was it lining up against that dude for 4 games in the season? The speed he had, the ability, the shot that kid has. But yeah, just playing against Ethan and knowing that if he's got to step on you, it's going to be real hard to catch him back down the ice.
Great hockey player. I mean, like you said, I played against him. I think it was, I can't remember what year he was when I was a freshman, but for sure 2 years I played against him at least.
The pod year, and then the next year I think would have been.
So 2 years. So great hockey player. Unbelievable speed, obviously, as you see it at the NHL level. What I remember, playing against him most was the power play. He just had an unbelievable shot, unbelievable one-timer, and definitely one of the superstars in the league. But really, really good player.
I mean, that power play was so stupid though. It was either Ethan or Addard, off the blue line. One of those two dudes was ripping, and you're like, all right, who do I get in front of? Who do I not want to hit me with this puck?
Right.
We got another question for you from the chat here. How do you compare and contrast North Dakota in mid-January versus what's coming up this weekend? So they're a little bit different team. I think they were struggling a little bit last time you guys saw them, even at home. They've been a good road team this year, but they're coming to Lawson. So how are you guys looking? And how has everybody healed up from the illness this last weekend?
Yeah. Everyone's it was going around. I know the 4 nations, and it seems like it's going around everywhere. Wherever you go, something's going around. Yeah, flu season. So it'll be nice to get some rest and recovery, get those guys back. But to answer the question, like I said earlier, every weekend's big. We know North Dakota is obviously an unbelievable program, great players that come out of there. Like every year, they have a great team. And this year they have a really, really good team too. So, we're gonna have to make sure that we play, to our standards and to our identity for sure. I don't know how they did last weekend. I can't remember. I don't know.
Don't. Mike can tell you.
Did they play Duluth?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It seems like they won then.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, but
thank God I was in the middle of a lake.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make sure that we we play as hard as we can, and like I said, every game in the NCHC and in college hockey is hard, and winning hockey games is hard. So just making sure that no matter how the other team plays, we're expecting their best as we would every team we play against, but just making sure that we do the things that make us great, and we do those, we're gonna have a lot of success.
Well, and I think that that's the thing too with, like you're saying, every team brings its best. You guys, when you were at Miami, you had our number a few
Yeah.
times, and it was just like, why? But I mean, he would play out of his mind, and it's but you can never count out, even if a team like Colorado College, when they were bad, they could just pop up any weekend. They could sweep. Um, I think you guys had a couple good series with North Dakota too at the end of the year
Mhm.
where you almost got them in the first round of the playoffs. It doesn't really matter what the records are. Everything's out the door when any of these teams play.
100%. I mean, every team is good. That's why, you know, when you're younger, there's superstars that emerge and can take over games. And even here, I mean, there's great hockey players, but it takes a full team to win a game. I think whatever team you play, there's no easy games. When we were at Miami, it was the same mentality. Obviously, it was hard at times, but we knew that at any time we play to our strengths, we can win the game. I remember my freshman year, we came into Lawson. Obviously, there were no fans there, but we took 2 games against Western, and those were big for us. I mean, it was a big confidence booster, and there's I'm sure the guys on our team now will tell you there's no easy games. There's, goalies can get hot and players can get hot, and you never know. And every night you just want to give yourself and your teammates the best chance to come out on top, and that's the biggest thing.
And I think the NCHC has proved that it is a team game because you look at Michigan with all their number one draft picks. You look at Minnesota with how many high draft picks they have, and they're playing. They haven't won a national championship recently. It's been, for the most part, NCHC teams since
Yeah,
the conference came into existence because they play as a team. Yeah, you have a couple Hockey East teams out there, and then Quinnipiac comes in off the top rope, just deciding that they're going to win a national championship, which I was really happy about. Uh, but again, it's a team game. Quinnipiac was a team, and that's what the NCHC has.
yeah. I mean, in my opinion, I think the teams that can come together the quickest and gel together as a team the quickest are the teams that are going to go far in the playoffs and go on long runs. And every player that's in college hockey is a great hockey player. I mean, they wouldn't be here if they weren't a great hockey player. So same thing in the NHL. You see teams that are really close and have a really good culture. Those are the teams that create dynasties like the Hawks and Florida's got something going, obviously Boston, Tampa, those
Mhm.
teams that just have those core players and they lead. So, like you said, yeah, I mean, dating back to whenever, I mean, there was a ton of NCHC teams that won the national championship. And I think a big reason, a big part of that is just all the guys coming together and playing as a team. And in my opinion, I think the NCHC has the most amount of those. Just guys that are willing to play and come together, and that's why I think it's the hardest league and most competitive league in college hockey.
I think it was four in a row right before COVID. North Dakota, Denver, UMD,
Hmm.
and UMD was in three of those four national
Yeah,
championships. And damn COVID, it could have been a three-peat. That
yeah.
that team was just stacked.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember Duluth my freshman year, and they had Kepke and Fanti, White Kaiser. They had some
Yeah.
really, really good high end talent there. They were always a really, really hard team to play against.
Um, how'd you settle on the number 4 at Western? Does Western just give out numbers, or do you guys have like somewhat of a choice there?
Um, you kind of, when you come in, you get, you talk to the equipment guy, Ross. He's an awesome guy, great equipment manager. So I was just talking to him and seeing what numbers were available. Ford just kind of found me, I guess. I just kind of, I try not to think too much about numbers and all that, just kind of whatever. Pretty easygoing in terms of that, but never wore four before, and um, thought I'd give it a shot.
Well,
Is that
it's
Jalmerson's number?
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Mickey Jalmerson, great hockey player.
yeah, it
I was
seems.
number 4 in basketball, so I like the number.
Yeah, great number.
I think it's a mixed in with your name pretty well, and some nicknames have come about. At least
Yeah,
as First likes to say in post game interviews. So
yeah.
you're wearing it well for sure.
Thank you, thank
Uh,
you.
I was going to ask you something. I forgot what it was in the last. Uh, kind of quick series here with North Dakota. Hasn't been that long since you guys last played them. Do you like stacking teams up like that, or would you prefer kind of like a little bit more space in between? Because I think like the last couple of years, even the Miami series, both have been in the later half of the season, whereas a few years before that, they were one first half, one second half of the year kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think it. As a player, I don't really look into that as much. I mean, it's nice to play teams kind of right back because for example, if you don't have a good weekend against them, you can kind of get that revenge game or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, when you're watching the teams, you know how they play, and whether you get them in the next week or the next month or next couple months. I mean, they're going to be the same, pretty much the same team that you saw. Obviously they could be hot or they could be a little cold, but for me, it doesn't really phase me, or I don't think our players as much to see when you do get them. Yeah, we played North Dakota. What was it, about a month ago? So we know that they're going to come and be hungry, but we're also going to be very hungry too, especially in front of our home crowd.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seemed like maybe Omaha may be the most drastic change between what you saw the first time you played them and the second time, just because of the number
Yeah.
of injuries they had that first time you guys were at Omaha versus what they brought up to Kalamazoo here. Um, North Dakota, they had a few injuries, but they seemed to get healthy, and they were a little bit more inconsistent. They've gotten more consistent as since you guys have played them. So it's shaping up to be another great battle. Everybody, the top half of the conference is still really up for grabs for anybody. So not really a weekend to let up.
No, never. Like I said, I mean, it's every weekend is just making sure that we play the best hockey that we can play. No matter what's at stake, no matter what, who we're playing against, who's in the lineup, who's out of the lineup. It's just making sure that we play the Broncos style that we know how to play, and we do that, then most of the time we're going to be successful. And I think that's the way that you have to go about things. There's so many games in a season, especially at the pro level, and you can't get caught up on one game or two games or whatever. It's just trying to make sure that you play your identity, and no matter who comes in the building, or who's starting in net or who's in the lineup, it's just you do that, you're going to put yourself in a really, really good position to succeed.
Yeah, and I mean Western's been really good at that this year. I think everyone
Yeah.
can, the transition from Rowe to Hampton. You guys don't lose anything. Both goalies have played extremely well. Like I said earlier, the defensive core in front of those two guys has played extremely well. Um, and it's allowed, the offense doesn't run through one or two players. Like it's a group team effort, and I think it's allowed the freshmen to come along at, their own pace. And you're seeing guys like Nearing step up and just play incredible hockey. Väisänen has played some incredible hockey the last few weeks. Scoring that game winner there in Arizona. Just an incredible move to get freed in the 3-on-3. But yeah, I know you guys are from top to bottom. There's some dudes who have made a name for themselves, and guys who I think maybe outshined their expectations. And I think it's a top to bottom coaching staff to player, just all around. Everything you guys have done has worked this year.
Yeah, I mean, the new guys that came in, especially the freshmen, are just unbelievable people to start off with. Great hockey players. I mean, like you said, Joona Väisänen and Eero Hakkarainen, Zach Nearing, Ty Henricks. Just great players. I mean, all the guys, all the new guys, transfers and freshmen, they do the right things every day. Just how fast that they were able to, you know, to adapt this style and play under this style has helped them as players, and it has helped our team obviously tremendously. But like you said, on the goaltending tandem, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, two of the best goalies in the nation, Cam Rowan, Hadden Sukinski. They're just, no matter what night it is, the whole team is super confident when they're back there, and it's pretty unbelievable. I've never really seen something like that in college hockey and the NHL and juniors. It's to have two stellar goalies back there. They've been awesome for us all year.
Yeah, do you feel like you're able to play more relaxed, or is there still some kind of pressure like, hey, I know this guy's back there and he's playing out of his mind, but I don't want to be the reason he gets caught in an unhelpful situation that he's got to like bail us out for?
Yeah, it's never relaxed. Never relaxed out there. We want to just make sure that, especially as a defenseman, that you're doing everything you can to help break the puck out, help get the puck up to the forwards. We want to make their job as easy as possible. We obviously know that they're unbelievable goalies, and they have the skill to bail us out at times, which is going to happen. I mean, it's a long game, it's a long season, but we never want to put them in a situation where they have to make 6 unbelievable saves to keep us in a game. We obviously know they can, but we, as a team in front of them, as skaters, we want to make sure that we make their job as easy as possible. Whether that's limiting the other team to less than 25 shots or 20 shots, blocking shots in front of them, not taking penalties, whatever it is. We just want to make sure that they don't have to do too much. But like I said, when we mess up, or a breakdown happens, or something on the PK, whatever it is, we know that they have our backs, and that's every single night. So it's pretty special for sure.
Speaking of PK, you guys went
Oh.
over 42 straight kills without allowing a goal. I think you still are only at like 6 power play goals allowed on the season. I think that just goes back to like you guys doing the small things right, and taking care of the goalie behind you and your defensive zone. Like I think literally everything is coming together for this Western team, and the results are there. And you hear, everything you hear is trust the process, trust the process. The results will come, or the results aren't necessarily the big thing, but trust the process. And you guys seem to be trusting the process and just making history for this Western team year after year.
Yeah, I mean the PK, it's an incredible structure. Coach Herder and Coach JJ Crew, they do just an unbelievable job with preparing us every week, making sure we know the opposing team's tendencies and what they look for. But most of the time, it's focusing on us and making sure that all the 4 players that are on the ice. Obviously, they have an extra guy, so they have the advantage. But every good team has a good special teams. Our power play is great. Our PK is great as well. And I'm sure, as you heard, the best PKer is your goalie. So they've been outstanding, 5-on-5 and on the kill. But like I said, even on the kill, we want to make sure that we're making their job as easy as possible, blocking shots, getting first time clears, not letting the team in to our zone, with ease. So like I said, the structure that's in front of us makes the penalty killers' jobs super easy. And it's something we pride ourselves on, especially coming down the stretch here.
And there might have been a lot of goal scoring this last weekend, but your 2 defenses kind of stingy as far as what actually got through to goalies. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but like you and Arizona State, like all both defensive sides were just putting their bodies in front of pucks. And I think the Friday game, like Arizona State had like something like 20, if not more, block shots. And still like a ton got to their goaltender. But even you guys on your own end were trying to get in front of whatever you could. So defensively, like I think the defensive numbers are a lot better than the score shows for those 2 games.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, yeah, they had something like 30 blocks or something. I remember I looked up and I was like, wow, I don't know if I've ever, seen something like that. That's a lot of blocks. But I mean, it's a huge part of the game. I mean, you never know which shot or which tip or rebound can go in. And especially in college hockey, it's 1 goal games, and that could be the difference. So especially at this level and in this league, I mean, you see guys putting their bodies on the line every single night, not only on the kill but 5-on-5. And it was that weekend especially. There was a lot of offense, but a lot of defense as well. It was a great back and forth, 2 games. And Arizona State, like I said, how good they are offensively. They're also a great team defensively, and definitely block a lot of shots.
And then, so last year, Denver, one of the highest offensive teams in the country all year long. Playoffs come around. I think their last 3 games, 3 out of their 4 last games go to overtime or are 1-goal games, and the game just tightens up as the playoffs get closer. Are you guys starting to feel those games tighten up? And we're down to the last 4 games. Are you expecting these to be tighter than the last 4 games in, say, December?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, every game coming down the stretch is going to feel like coming down the stretch is going to feel like a playoff game. And I think it's important to be comfortable in those 1-goal games. If it's 0-0 going to the third, like, you have to be able to be comfortable and make plays and be confident in yourself and your teammates. And I know, the group we have here is extremely confident in each other and extremely confident in themselves to make plays and to put the puck in the net and also defend. So yeah, I think coming on the stretch, it's going to be tight games and playoff atmosphere. And we're obviously excited, but like I said, it's just another game. The way that we played against Ferris in October, it's the same way we're going to play this upcoming weekend against North Dakota.
Mike, got a question?
I don't know. It depends on where you want to go.
You go wherever you want.
I mean, I have my last 2, obviously.
All right,
but
well,
it depends on
before
what
those,
you have on. Yeah.
So spring break starts this weekend. It might be a little bit thinner crowd for the Lunatics, but what would you say to them to try and entice them to get to the games this weekend and really like pack out that place for the last time in the regular season? Because we did our senior weekend the weekend before.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know what's at stake this weekend. So, but we want every weekend. We just know how much they support us every single night. So, obviously knowing it's spring break and people have plans of going home. We want to make sure that Lawson's is as filled as possible and giving us the energy that they give us every single night, because it's unbelievable from start to finish. It's a huge boost to our team, and we would love to see all the Lunatics in the building and all the loyal supporters. That would be awesome for us this weekend.
Yeah, I'm trying to do my best to make sure that to put the word out that as many people need to be there as possible. It's
Yeah,
it could be a historic weekend. On top of what Coach Frisch has already done for the program, taking over the head spot, and what he's done even as an assistant coach here in years past. You've got 2 great former Broncos leading the way there with JJ and Pat. I don't know if Bergeron played at Miami. I know he had coached there before coming
he did.
back.
Yeah.
What does it change? Do you think it changes how they coach, having spent time at the university they're coaching at? Like, do they feel more? Do you perceive more ownership of the success the team has from them, or more of a want to build a successful program from those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's they just have that connection to the program. When they played there, when they were in college. So it's definitely a unique thing to be able to play here as a player. And I'm pretty sure Firsch was a captain his senior year. Or,
Yeah.
He was a captain. So to know, what the team was like and how they operated, and then to come back years later and lead the team from a coach perspective, it's definitely pretty cool. And I know you mentioned Bergeron. He was a captain at Miami when he played there. So he played there. I can't remember when he played there, but it's just I think they have more of a connection to the program, the university. They don't know anything else, in terms of college. They didn't play at a different college. They didn't coach at a different college. So, they're just super loyal to that area, that town, that university. And, I think that's what kind of just gives them even more passion to want to build a successful program, which, First has done an unbelievable job in the 3 years. This is his fourth year. So 4 years that he's been here, and the many years to come. But like I said, yeah, like, in terms of other colleges, they didn't play at another college, they didn't coach at another college, so it's Broncos, and that's what it is. And I think it's a really unique and cool perspective, from a coach, especially.
Yeah, and I mean, look at first. I think he did play, or his first year was at Minnesota Duluth. Then he went back
Oh,
to
okay.
he went back to the juniors and then came to Western.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So
Wow,
yeah,
thanks, First.
I didn't know that.
but I mean, he's been
Asshole.
pretty much at every level of hockey. He's built, minor teams down in I think the St. Louis area. He played in the minor leagues, coached at the NHL level, the AHL level. How does that speak to you guys, just knowing that like he's seen basically every level of hockey? Like his hockey knowledge has to be ridiculous.
It's off the charts. I mean, like I said earlier, like I've learned so much from him and Coach Herter, um, that I've implemented into my game and in my daily habits in terms of a player. But yeah, First coaching with the Detroit Red Wings, and he's been at every level, so he's an extremely knowledgeable coach when it comes to systems and how he treats players, and the way he handles situations. It's the best I've ever seen. And I knew coming in, from the guys I talked to, of how good of a coach he is, and obviously I knew how good of a program they had, so it had to stem from somewhere, which was him. But to be able to witness it firsthand and just to see the amount of knowledge and that he shares with us, and even if it's just a skill session, outside of the team aspect, if it's just little skill stuff, that we're working on an optional day or on a in training camp, whatever it is. He's so knowledgeable, and just whether it's video sessions or practice, whatever it is, just teaching you and making sure that he's teaching you in the way that you understand, instead of just saying it and saying, hey, you should do this, or you should. He presents it in a way that allows the player to adapt it and use what he's saying, to be better. So like you said, it's unbelievable. Just a great coach, with a great sense of knowledge for the game, and his ability to share it with the players is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then adding all that on top of the passion for the program, like you
Oh
talked
yeah,
earlier,
yeah,
just playing there. And
yeah.
I was
Great
just
passion.
thinking, as you guys were saying that, um, especially you, Robbie, with guys playing at a different college, coaching there, whatever. I think the closest you can get to a coach not playing at a college is Sandlin in UMD. He played at North Dakota, but he is from about half hour where I'm from, so about an hour and a half north of Duluth. That kind of was his college, probably growing up. That's the closest you can get to a tie to a different college than where you played. So there's that passion there. But otherwise, yeah, you can have all the hockey knowledge in the world, but you add that passion for the program and having those ties to it, it's going to drive it up even higher. And
Right.
I like how you said so the player can understand. So it sounds like he tailors whatever he's explaining to each individual player, which is really helpful because not everyone learns the same way.
Exactly. Yeah, and like you said, I think with the Sandlin example of when he played at North Dakota, he knew North Dakota hockey and the culture at North Dakota, and then when he coaches at Duluth, it's a different college. So he kind of has two different college teams, one that he played for, one that he was a coach for. In this situation with Firsch, when he was here as a player and he's here as a coach, it's just that one university, and the culture, and the way that the town, familiar with the town. It's that passion of, okay, I worked extremely hard as a player, and you know gave it my all as a player at Western Michigan. Just to have that same passion as a coach is just so cool. And that's what I was referring to earlier in terms of you know in terms of college hockey. Like that's him. It's Western Michigan, it's the Broncos. And he's done a great job leading the team in the last however many years. I know he was here as an assistant coach before taking over as a head coach, but in the many years to come. But yeah, and then in terms of the way that he teaches players, like, yeah, like in my opinion, it's one thing to say something to someone and, say, hey, try this, or did you see this or whatever. But if the player doesn't receive it and doesn't really understand fully what they mean, it doesn't, do it justice, I guess. It's important for the player to understand, whether that's using different language, in terms of, different wording, or, different video clips or whatever. So they do the whole coaching staff, JJ Crew, Coach Brown, Fursh, and Coach Hurts do an unbelievable job of making sure that not only the team understands, but the players understand what we're seeing, how we can be better, how we can utilize it into our own game. And, that's something for me personally that's helped my game tremendously this year.
Oh, what was it? I just had it, and then I got a text from my wife. My daughter's still awake. She's having a really bad eczema day or week. But it was gonna be about Fursh again. Oh, I think the guy that the fans see is probably the same guy that you guys see, and if Mike probably knows the clip that I'm gonna mention, but if you go back and look up the post game conference from Western versus Duluth a couple years ago, when I think there were like 10 goals scored in the first 10 minutes of the game, or 6
goals was stupid
scored in the first 10 minutes of the game. While he spoke coherently, you could tell that there was a lot of anger and disappointment in his voice. And it was, as a fan, it was kind of funny, but at the same time, you're like, ooh, those boys are going to hear about it later. And they did. And they came out and played the next night a completely different style. But I think that really kind of speaks to his character. He's not going to, I don't think he's going to hold back on you guys. He's going to let you know what you need to hear and to get, again, to make sure that we're trusting the process and the results will be there when we get there. And this season is a manifestation of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's important for a coach to be hard on players too. It's not, always sunshine and rainbows for players. I think, a lot of times, you need someone to be hard on you and to tell you, how it truly is, as opposed to hearing all the good things you're doing or whatever, because that's how you get better. So, First, definitely, you make sure that he's hard on us, but he also makes sure that it's for the right reason. A big thing is effort and hard work. And, if you're not doing that, then, you're going to hear it for sure. But, if it's an execution thing, or if it's something that, you can watch through video, it's very, in the sense of, hey, look at what you did, and this is how you can be better, or this is how you can adjust, or this is how you can, whatever the case may be. But, it's a great balance of making sure that he's hard on us for sure. Because there's a lot of expected of us as a team and as a player here, with just how good of a program this is. But it's also making sure that from a technical side or execution side that, you're able to see what you're doing and how you can improve and be better. And it's not, a lot of it's try not to make the same mistake twice. You see something, you fix it, you correct it, because I think a lot of that's on the player in terms of listening and being receptive of that, try not to make the same mistake again. And after you see it and after you've learned from it. So, but like you said, I think every coach needs to be hard on their players in the right way. And, First is just does an unbelievable job of making sure that he's hard on us, but he also knows that, because he was a player, he understood what being a college hockey player is like. So, I think he's taken a lot of the things that, he did when he was a player, and he's kind of taken that to the coaching level. And I think combining that with all the expertise and knowledge that he has, being around, some of the greats, it just combines for a great coach.
What did he say in that clip? I don't know what that was in the first half of that period, but that wasn't hockey. They're scoring on us. We're scoring on them. They're scoring on themselves.
It was a wild 10 minutes of hockey.
And
he didn't hold back. But I'm going to let Mike here ask his last couple questions, and then we'll let you go. You've been here for over an hour, and I greatly appreciate your time, and especially in the middle of the season here. And just want to thank you for everything you've done this year to make it an enjoyable one as a fan of Western hockey for as long as I've been one, and will continue to be. So, Mike, take her away, man. Finish it up.
Thank you.
All right. So, first of all, now it's going to be a little different because you have been a visitor at both of these, but what is your favorite arena that isn't Miami or Lawson to play at when you
Uh,
go to play?
all in terms of all college hockey or just NCHC
Uh,
or
we can go
both?
both. We'll go both.
Okay, both. I mean, I would have to say North Dakota. It's as pro as a feel that you're going to get. I think everyone would say that. Arizona State was great. I mean, great atmosphere. The arena's beautiful, and obviously the town and the fans are crazy. It was a really cool experience there. Then outside of that, the places I've played, I mean, Michigan State was really cool. Boston College was unbelievable. Michigan was great. Out of those three, Boston College was really cool, I think. Obviously two great teams going at it, so that made it, obviously really special in its own way. But their student section, their crowd, being in Boston is really cool. So I would probably say BC for non-conference and North Dakota for in-conference.
North Dakota seems to be the popular
I was gonna
answer.
say, I mean, most players are gonna say North Dakota. Yeah.
I went to the Michigan game this year, and
Did you?
Yeah, I think your experience of that building as a player is going to be a lot more favored than my experience as a fan there.
Yeah.
But I mean, the building is gorgeous. Don't get me wrong. I think that it's
very historic.
Yes,
very historic.
It is described as a cathedral to hockey, and that's exactly what it looks like. And it is just as uncomfortable as any cathedral I have ever been in. So they've nailed it on both accounts. But I think your perspective of that arena and the fan side are at odds with each other a little bit. But that's just my personal take there.
Yeah.
All right. So the other one, this is actually one of my favorite questions to ask, if not my most favorite. The first time you saw this doofus that is with us tonight in Wes with his face painted, staring a hole through your soul.
Yeah.
In warm-ups, what were your thoughts? What were your first thoughts when you saw this complete idiot, middle-aged man with his face painted?
I mean, it's awesome. I mean, just to see the loyalty, like I said, from the crowd and the fans. I mean, you don't see that anywhere else. It's so cool to see the support that Western Michigan gets. Especially as a visitor, when you're looking around the arena and you just see people with all Western Michigan gear on and like you said, face painted, whatever it is. There's so much love for the program here, and that just directly ties to the culture that is here and the winning and it's unbelievable to see. It's just to see people that travel and like Wes said, he went to the Michigan game. Like it means a lot to the players. I know it means a lot to the program. Year after year, all the fans are so supportive. Not only in Lawson, but there are fans at the GLI, fans at Ferris State, fans at Michigan. It's pretty cool, and it helps us a lot.
Wes, you've only scared one player so far.
Yeah, it turns out Trevor might be a little bit of a baby.
Yeah, apparently.
And you can clip that and send it to him.
Yep, I'm gonna send that to him. Yeah, our buddy, the dude over
this guy right here,
Wes's shoulder.
Okay.
He said he was skating around in warm-ups, and, as a goalie, all of a sudden he goes, "Holy shit, what the hell is that, dude?" And Wes is just staring straight. He scared him. And then Wes then decided to scare Trevor when he was playing with the K-Wings and going to a K-Wings game.
That's pretty. So do you do it every game? Is it how long does that take you?
So I do it for every Western game I go to, whether it's home or away.
Okay.
And I've gotten it down at my quickest. It's about a half hour.
Half hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's dedication. I mean, that's just goes to show just the support that we get. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Try riding around in Nashville with this guy with his face painted and then going through a drive-through after the game. Get a lot of funny looks, and I'm like,
Oh,
I'm not with him, but I'm in his car. Please help.
that's funny.
But all right, so we will
That's
wrap
great.
this one up. There's some YouTube things that you can do if you so choose. They're down there. You know what they are if you've watched enough YouTube videos. I'm not going to tell you what to do. There's been some stuff scrolling around the bottom if you need any more information. Big weekend coming up for all 6 teams. Make sure to follow along at NCHC TV or the CBS Sports game, whatever that one happens to be this weekend. Good luck to the Broncos. Hopefully they can make a little more history under Pat Frischweiler this weekend. And especially to Robby for joining us. And thank you once again for coming on. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And we like